Where's my coffee? Pardon me. It is an emergency situation. It is crucial. Welcome back. I don't have much time. It's about an hour. So, welcome back. My name's Adrian Pocobelli, Artist Journal. February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, a massive Valentine's. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It's hilarious in Berlin. Valentine's Day is not that cool. Sometimes you'll see the expats celebrating it and wearing their angel wings to the workspaces, and doesn't necessarily fly with the locals. But yeah, there's a ton to get through today. I don't know how I'm going to do it in an hour, but I have a pretty important meeting in 161 minutes, so it's going to have to happen. I also thank you for all the support and understanding. Yeah, I'm in Saskatoon, as you may notice. I am unshaven here and in my sister's room. Yeah, just so people know, in a sense, it's my father has passed, and he was in a care home, so he would have wanted it this way. It was fairly fast. Luckily, he wasn't even really conscious, so to speak, but he was alive. So I went and I traveled over to here. So there were no shows this week, and actually the space, I got called to the care home on Wednesday when the event occurred. So just thanks for all the understanding, and yeah, I mean, there's nothing, he is gone, but, it is a loss, but he wouldn't have wanted to be in a care home. The fire of Gustavo Pocobelli would not have wanted to be in that situation. So, in that respect, it's he's in a better place. Let's put it that way. So let's begin. Martin Bruce, surprisingly awesome work. So simple, isn't it? So simple. A black background with the worm, the iconic worm, as we're getting to know here. And I think it's just one, I was trying to figure it out the last time I think we started with Martin Bruce. I think it's one kind of volumetric, so to speak, one kind of sphere that has been replaced, that has been repeated over the course of this kind of worm, and then adding kind of like a TV snow filter, whatever you want to call it, and then doing this outrageously simple red, green, and yellow line. It's a real head-turning work, isn't it? As I like to call it, the museum in your mind, like Neon Monk, I think, picked this one up. This is like, especially for the connoisseurs of Martin Bruce's work, one of my favorite, I think one of many people's favorite artists in this scene. One of them. Not an easy artist. Again, it took one of those artists that takes some time to understand if you're kind of sitting there wondering what the big deal is. But when as I always say, he thinks with his eyes. And we did a wonderful space on that with Martin, maybe a few months ago, maybe a year ago. It was awesome. So let's just see what happened here. Worm series, Line and Mass, rad title, out of Portugal. Last we talked, and 70 Tezos only. To Neon Monk, after, I think, Absurd Deity put in the first bid. So deals to be had out there for those that are kind of off, a wonderful deal for Neon Monk there, big collector. So Martin Bruce, Line and Mass, and I managed to get this one. I guess one of the benefits, it's a long process, waiting in the situation that I was in on Wednesday. I had a lot of time on Wednesday, as people know who are in that experience. So I actually had time to check out this auction and go, I'll put in a bid and see what happens. And I happened to get it with my anonymous account there, and then I sent it over to the main account. So awesome. Glad to get this work. Paid 80 Tezos. It looks like Martin Bruce released both at the same, or at, I think one day apart. So again, the worm. This very strange, enigmatic, really counter-rational, I want to say, almost like non-lingual artist. Again, I keep saying, like, the thinking is, it's visual thinking, as I think, long called it. Inside Sodi, part of the Worm series, so both one of ones, which is awesome. Big thank you. This is hilarious. So, Tornado Rodriguez, watching Poco, edition of 16. This is on chain, which is super cool. This is on Tezos, and awesome. I showed this to my mom. So this was awesome stuff to show, say my mom, while we were out here in Saskatoon. Well, I was out here in Saskatoon. She lives out here. So hilarious. There are people, there's, the Tornado Rodriguez, kind of alias, I think, making art while having Artist Journal on. That was awesome. And that was a fun show. Artist Metapolitics with Sabato's work on. Nice tiny work here using Object 98, I believe. TV is tuning to Pocobelli's show Artist Metapolitics, featuring Sabato's piece in there. And actually, we have something from Sabato coming right up here. Done using Microsoft Paint 98. Yeah, so awesome. Compressed exporting for web using Photoshop. Very, very cool. And look at this. So Sabato did a portrait for my birthday. Thank you for all the birthday wishes there. It was last Saturday. And I kind of kept it under wraps a little bit. I was like, there's no way we're going to outdo last year's. There's so many works. It was awesome. And I was like, there's no way so I kept it under wraps. But nevertheless, Sabato put this awesome work. I think it's one of those Corel Draw CDR files. It's like a glitch technique using Corel Draw, maybe a 90s version. Clip art. Fabulous, fabulous work here. I've made it the profile picture on my X and Instagram. So, and even the color here, right? In the pixels. And really cool work, and on Bitcoin, which is rad. Sabato asked, do you have a preference? I was like, Tezos or Bitcoin? I was like, sure, let's do Bitcoin. And I thought to myself, and so starts the Bitcoin art collection. Because I have a bunch of my own work, but, so it's kind of fun to think about. So thank you. Big shout out to Tornado Rodriguez and Sabato. Very rad. And big shout out to Daggy D, who picked up this work, Load Runner, on Gamma, on Bitcoin, which you see how tiny it is. Delightfully tiny. Now, this isn't necessarily a good representation of it, because the browser, but you can, make this infinitely large and super crisp, right? So you saw it with Tornado's work there as well. So this is kind of like life size. It's a little, I think, smaller than, it's 330 pixels. So a Google ad is usually about 300, I think. So, the size of a Google ad. So pretty rad. If I had more time, which I don't, I would show the kind of higher resolution version of this. And I just released this. So this is a new one that I did. And here you see the crispness. And I wanted to show this actually. So I just listed a new one. And if you go to ordinals.com, if you click on this, and because if you do just right click and open image in new tab, you won't necessarily get a crisp version. But if you go to Ordinals and then you do it, ordinals.com in this link, then you'll get the crisp version. There, so Doge, interesting. I thought it was interesting as I'm just kind of like tracing the news, filling in the news, it's personalities and clothing. Interestingly, commerce and media and politics, a weird mix, in our visual diet that we have here. So thank you everybody for all the support and just good vibes and generosity. Really cool comments on last show. Visual poetry on Bitcoin. I love that title. Let's look at what was said here. Nicholas Dietrich, who had the work. This is Nicholas Dietrich's work right here, and also a work on Bitcoin that started the show. Great show, Adrian, and thanks for the mention. It's definitely a great time to inscribe on Bitcoin. Indeed, I saw a YouTube show, I listened to it, a podcast where they were talking about, has Bitcoin failed? Because the mempool, they're running out of transactions, which is hilarious. So the time is now. That is the next video that I want to do. Hopefully this weekend, I imagine this weekend. In a sense, I'm running out of excuses not to do it. So, Alistair Crystal, great show as always. Thank you for the comment, my friend. Great to hear from you. Kelly Burns, nice one, Adrian. Until now, the concept of putting work on Bitcoin was just too much of a monster to even approach mentally. Yeah, I suspect it is for a lot of people. Here we go, another thing I have to kind of, navigate and learn. So lofty, so beyond other cryptos, and rather intimidating. Interesting characterization. We'll see. But what you're saying here is eye-opening indeed. Lots of beautiful work in these recent vids. Yeah, interesting. I'm going to put out the video. It's pretty straightforward, but it is just, there are a couple of kind of crucial things you got to know about, say, which wallets are the best to use. I learned that the very, very, very hard way, multi-$1,000 mistakes that you make using one wallet versus another. So let me help in that regard, and also just like where, different kind of options for inscribing, another word for minting. So we'll get into that. This was super interesting too. Kujib, so Hasdrubal Waffle, weighing in. Okay, Poco, watch the intro a few times, and your sincerity has me convinced. Well, I'm thrilled to hear this. Spent the last 48 hours writing a custom deluxe paint clone with DeepSeek, and can now output 50 kilobyte GIFs with animation, color cycling, crisp palette, GIF export, etc. Might go BTC or Bitcoin exclusive for remainder of the year. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, I still put out work on Tezos, and I love that scene. And it's a generous scene. It's a wonderful place for artists. I mean, and you'll look at the tabs here. We're like 90% Tezos here. But yeah, in terms of, the excitement around, it may be a window of opportunity. Let me put it that way, as I was discussing last show. Might go BTC exclusive for remainder of the year, but also created custom manifold contract just in case. And indeed, because there are still, big files, what are you going to do? You can't put them on Bitcoin if you pay, like, you're kind of maxed out at 100 kilobytes. I inscribed that one. It was 60 kilobytes. I think it was about $32. So it's really cheap right now. So maybe, depends how much you want to pay, but as long as the mempool stays at like 2 kilobytes, 2 VBytes. Let's continue. Thanks again for emphasizing these points. Don't even care about selling them. And I totally can relate to what you're saying. In a sense, selling them now feels like you might be selling them for ridiculously cheap because of the, just because I would argue, like, there's a sense that, like, there's no urgency to sell. As I told Waffles in my reply, I'm selling here and there just to kind of see if I can build up a little bit of a collector base on Bitcoin and let Bitcoin collectors know, people that collect art on Bitcoin, hey, I'm putting out work and it's available, and you can kind of, there's a reason to check my work other than the art if you're a collector. Don't even care about selling them. The posterity is the proof. Mega congrats to Nicholas too. Super inspiring episode. So really nice comment. Great to hear. And how exciting is that? And what I see happening here, I mean, this is kind of wild in my mind to think about, but we're having the convergence of 3 trends is what I see happening here. The pixel art, which goes perfectly on Bitcoin because of its low file size, and so we don't have gradients, so it keeps the color basic, and then we have these very small images that still work, right? And then we have what I consider another, secular trend, people making their own art tools. So here Waffles, Kujeb, is making custom tools in order to have ideal tools to work on Bitcoin. And to me, this is a convergence of, again, 3 big trends. And you just think of, I was thinking like, and then you go back out and zoom out and you think about like the contemporary like art scene, and you just go like, how far out is what we're doing here? Is what I was sort of thinking to myself. Like this is pretty far out. Working on Bitcoin, doing pixel art, and even building our own art tools to do this. This is not oil on canvas or acrylic on canvas. This is not a white cube gallery. Like, we're in another kind of, don't want to say dimension, but maybe another planet. So anyways, very exciting. I cannot wait. To see what happens here. Watch this space. I will be following very closely. Crash Top. Nicholas Dietrich equals awesome. Indeed. Indeed. How are we doing? 15 minutes. I think we're doing okay here. Nick, we got a nice comment from Nick also on X. Thank you for the support. Let's see. Been nice seeing the Bitcoin focus lately. Indeed, I actually looked. It was November 2023 when I first inscribed. I've kind of been talking about it on and off since then. So it's not like a new discussion, but there is a focus on it right now with the mempool being so kind of quiet. There's all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is the opportunity. It is a opportunity, a window. Wanted to share some perspective on the Bitcoin art space in Gamma. Of course, Nick is I don't know if he's the founder or co-founder of Gamma. That might be helpful. While the BTC art space is nascent relative to other blockchains, it's certainly not in its infancy. There have been hundreds of interesting, high-quality, noteworthy releases. We even curated the first Bitcoin art sale for Sotheby's, which you can check out here. Tons of familiar faces have made their way to Bitcoin, and we've helped non-BTC brands and platforms like Super Rare. I remember the Killer Acid. I think I showed it on the show, actually. Rareable, Phantom, Nexus Grids, Yuga Labs, 12-foot puzzle series, Inscribe, and Launchworks on Bitcoin. File sizes are one of the limitations of Bitcoin, but you can achieve a surprisingly good quality within the 400 kilobyte standard limits if you're thoughtful about the medium. So about 400 kilobytes. So now I inscribe 60 kilobytes at about $30. So let's just say times, I don't know, 6, 7, let's say 7. 60 times 7 would be 400 kilobytes. So, and I paid about 30. Would it only be $210 to do a 400 kilobyte file? Back the envelope calculation here. You can also easily bypass this limit through recursion, which allows you to glue multiple inscriptions together using basic code, similar to how websites come together, but immutably and permanently on chain. There are countless examples of this, but here's one by Waxbones, where he sold a collection of 20 frames, each entitling the minter to a 20-frame animation that's about 2 megabytes in size. I almost want to return to this comment maybe next show so we can actually look at the Sotheby's and these links. I'm worried that my computer, I don't have the time. In a sense, I'm 17 minutes in and I have a hard cutoff, but I might come back to this comment next show and actually just look at the links. One artists found an early footing on Bitcoin as a result of the above. We launched an offering called Prints, curated editions that stem from a one-of-one original inscription on Bitcoin. They recursively call back to the original with a print edition number overlaid on hover. It's pretty cool. I've actually applied for this. I haven't heard back, but let's see. Artists that can then keep or sell the original separately from its prints, which is interesting. You, of course, can also not release an edition component, but this unique on-chain relationship makes the launch mechanism really fun and interesting. Yeah, I've seen those. It's interesting. I guess it's kind of like editions like you'd find on Object. It's interesting that you can sell the original separately. It's almost like an artist's proof. If you're looking for like physical art analogies, generative artists have found an especially great home on BTC. I agree, because it's code, and it's generally a smaller file size, as you can recursively tie into on-chain libraries inscribed by others, which is super cool, live blockchain data, or even other on-chain artworks. Since code is small and other code-based inscriptions act as decentralized code repository, it is perhaps the ideal format for inscriptions. There have been some fascinating collections. Indeed. Like you think of Acid Boy. Again, if you're working with like code, there's no excuse, really. It's kind of like the perfect chain for generative art, I would argue. Check out this example by Pavel Dudko. I think this was mentioned last time. This interactive, fully on-chain artwork responds to your clicks and produces one-of-one outputs for each inscription in its series. This particular artwork was inscribed upon a single Satoshi that has been used to pay for a hitman on Silk Road. As a result, the artwork's in Satoshi aware and clicks respond in tandem, appearing as crosshairs unique from other items in the collection. I'm going to check these out next episode. I've cursed you with an essay at this point, so I'll leave it there. I really appreciate you weighing in, Nick, because it's pretty awesome you're watching and that you care enough to write all this. And so I want to do justice to you replying here, and I will come back for these links here. Right now, today's a tricky day, but we'll hopefully Monday we'll come back and check out the links. But be sure to keep up with Gamma Drops to see what's dropping on Bitcoin. And they have a new beta. We talked about that last episode. We're soon releasing an expansive Explore experience to find trending and niche works. Yeah, discovery is a little tricky on it. Indeed. They do have an auction feature. I did notice today. Feel free to DM if you have questions. Will do. Thank you, Nick. Super interesting. And Gorkeklikchith, happy birthday. Thank you. Lena Eckert, it is Friday. We have a work by Lena Eckert later this show. Thank you for commenting and confirming it is Friday. It is Friday again, so we are here a week later. Yada, great to hear from you. Pedro Jose, that's what I'm looking for on a Friday afternoon, a nice iced coffee, and Pocobelli's look at NFT art. Thank you, my friend. Indeed, the coffee is warm and it is flowing. Ernesto Ash, buenos dias. Adrian, actually know what that means now. Thank you. Good day. Stippen Pixel, thank you for all you do to support visible, not only art, but Web3 ecosystem. I wish you a happy birthday and that your goals are met. Thank you. Big hug. Thank you. Awesome artist, Stippen Pixel. And Oblivion Fields, thanks so much for offering your thoughts on Bitcoin art. I can see how a lack of a good platform like Object really hinders discoverability. I'd say it's just, notifications. And this is a whole other thing I've seen come up where if I were Object, a long time ago, I would have already started to try and put messaging into Object itself. It's complicated, but then you have a social network. Nobody even needs to leave. Still, the newness of the scene and the fact that there isn't a lot of art that jumps out makes the prospect of minting there more interesting. Indeed. I totally agree with this. And we're going to look at those other links that Nick sent. And I'm sure there's lots of great art that I have no idea about. But it still feels very early from an artistic perspective. And I just see a huge opportunity of this kind of, again, it's like visual poetry on Bitcoin, pixel art converging with people making their own tools, converging with art on Bitcoin itself. This is sci-fi in the best possible way. So I just think it's like light years. From my own perspective, this is light years ahead of everything. That's why I talk about it, because that's what I think, in my opinion. But that's how I feel. It's incredibly exciting. August Ground, happy birthday, Maestro. Thank you for the intelligence, passion, and humor. Well, thank you for the very nice comment. You bring so much to this scene. Wishing you much success and happiness over the next year. Thank you. Thank you, August. Great to hear from you. Deggy D, great show. Again, thanks for sharing my article. You're welcome. Brilliantly written. It's a smooth article, smooth writing. Thank you, Ashika. And thank you, Meme Lord. Thank you for featuring Beautiful Visage by Ed Woods. Yeah, awesome. We have another Ed Woods. And here's Ed Woods. Thanks for showcasing my work. Nicholas Dietrich, thanks so much for the feature, Adrian, and another brilliant show. I totally agree that now is the perfect opportunity to inscribe on Bitcoin, as we really don't know for how long it'll actually be viable. Also, the possibility of longevity and permanence has great appeal. Indeed. There are different kinds of fame. There is pop, as I like to say, there's like pop show, like pop music kind of fame where you kind of come and go. This is a chance at like the big time, kind of like the Greek, Roman, like I think the word, if I had more time, we'd look it up. In Herodotus at the start, I think it's Kalos, like glory, like in that kind of fame, like when you're, if you can have your work sticking around for that long and you make good work and you're this early, we're only 10 years, 15 years into Bitcoin. And how long have we had inscriptions? We've had stamps, but again, like for as long as Bitcoin's been around, like still we're super early, and I still feel like the art is super duper early. So the hype continues from Pocobelli. Detaste, happy birthday, sir. You are great. Thank you, Detaste. I really appreciate that. And Armilk, great to hear from you. So I don't have time to talk about this, but I want to highlight it. Art news. Thousands of artists demand Christie's cancel AI art sale. AI models exploit humans. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm not as like there's a lot of pushback against these people. Like I kind of understand to a certain degree. I'm actually much more empathetic with these artists. As I use, ultimately I like AI, but there's something to be said for like this is what's kind of forgotten. It's almost back to the copy issue. As people forget that artists sacrifice everything to become artists. Oftentimes. They sacrifice oftentimes having a family. They sacrifice having money and comfort. The sacrifices are enormous. The time by themselves oftentimes in order to try and make something great. And then some, oh, look, AI, and I trained them on this artist, and now I'm making my own. And then you see your style, and then it's getting butchered, but it's still your style. This is why I'm so kind of strong on the kind of copy issue. And people say there's a difference. Like I saw Claire Silver is like, all artists are influenced and therefore we're all thieves. And to me, there's a huge difference between influence and copying. There's a huge difference. And if we'll come back to this issue. It's a long time issue. I mean, again, you think of T.S. Eliot, what is it? Tradition and the Individual Talent, I believe it's called, right? Where he talks about this, how do you negotiate this as an artist? So all to say, I just want to highlight, because it kind of made a big splash last week, that, this AI auction at Christie's, there's a lot of pushback. It's February 20th, so it's in a week. So let's see if it happens. And continuing on, Magic Drapic, every art movement tried to distinguish itself from other art forms. You can clearly tell the difference between oil paintings and photography or abstract art versus landscape painting. AI image generations are created to mimic and copy what's already been done by humans. This is the difference. It's not an art movement. It's a shortcut and a trick to avoid learning real skills. Now, on the other hand, what I would say to the people that just say this is just a scam, what I would argue what's being missed here is the role of the artist changes, is frankly the conclusion I've come to. They become an editor. It's the artist as editor, and where it's about choosing, and there's kind of a more of a curatorial element. The role of the artist changes. I do AI art, by the way. I just mix my own work, and then I guess I scoop people before someone else does. I'll do it myself, thanks. And then I'll be the one to, decide what's, good and what makes the cut, so to speak. So I would say there's a kind of a middle ground, is what I would say. It's the artist as editor is what this person, I would say, is missing. Because, of course, you aren't drawing every little thing. So anyways, it's an interesting debate. This was kind of interesting. DC Investor, the NFT bull, so a prominent Ethereum account here. The NFT bull market changed us. We got too corporate, too Web 2, and let fear of risk outweigh building for users. I decided we needed a complete reset, so we went heads down and started rebuilding. Tech, product, and most importantly, culture. Fixing these foundations has been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it's been incredible to see the team transform. It's big to admit this, and it's even bigger work to fix it. So I think this is interesting because this is a prominent Ethereum account basically saying there's a problem with the culture. And I was even thinking, we'll get to this in a second, like there's this huge $3 million sale. And it kind of reminded me of the Beeple sale, because I think I wonder if, because people are saying, oh, this $3 million sale is great for, here it is, a $3 million sale for a crypto artist is a $3 million art sale for all artists in crypto, and a win for both artists and crypto in general. Hire together another prominent Ethereum. I'm not convinced, actually. I'm increasingly starting to think that the Beeple sale, it got a lot of people's attention, but then people look at the work and then they're going, is that really worth $69 million? And then they go, this is just, and then they start to think, well, because it doesn't look like it's worth $69 million, then they go, what's the deal? And then they start to go, well, like, I'm starting to wonder, is that almost an alienating thing? Rather than it being like, oh, good, look at this. Look at how great this technology is. Maybe it's alienating. Maybe people aren't buying it. Right? And so we had a big $3 million, I think it was Sam Spratt, and $3 million, so congratulations to both, but I wonder if it's the same kind of thing, if it's the same kind of dynamic. I mean, that's just like reflections here. Ciphered. Now, I can't read this because it's too complicated, and that's kind of the point here. Update on the FX hash token. We thought the protocol a bit. There's going to be a one gen art project attached to every artist token, and collectors will be able to swap token for iteration in perpetuity at a fee for the artists. This creates an artistic image built in art utility. So, as I like to say, I'm kind of taking the opposite philosophy here. The less crypto, the better. It's kind of one of the reasons Bitcoin's kind of cool too, because there is almost it's a crypto, but it's sort of like, it's kind of the simplest crypto. And you're not going to get as much of this. I mean, in a sense, and then the burn token supply, and then it gets locked up. It sounds like a crypto pump and dump is what and I'm sure it's not, right? But I mean, it's the culture. This is the problem. Like, I would argue, just from my personal perspective, it's the culture of the crypto pump and dump. Again, alienating the general, like, what general user, as someone commented in here, are they going to know anything? Like, if I don't know what it means, and I've been following crypto since 2020, and pretty closely, what is the person on the street going to do with this? So anyways, I don't want to be too critical here, but yeah, let's continue. Constant Flux, Tezos is such an amazing chain. It as is literally the raw underground of the NFT space. I don't disagree with that. I still don't understand how the price is so low. Maybe that's why it's the raw underground, is because the price is so low, but the collectors are awesome. The collecting community, like, it's a great place to really show your art and have it seen. And Object deserves a lot of credit. I think it's Object that deserves the credit. I think they also deserve a lot of credit for not releasing a token, as much as many of us would benefit. But I think they deserve a certain amount of credit. Maybe they will, and I'll be the happiest guy ever, because it'll probably be a pretty good airdrop for me. But I'm kind of impressed, I have to say, that they haven't. Anyways, let's continue. Anyone have any thoughts on this? So why is the Tezos price like? No idea. I think, like, put it this way. If there wasn't so much art on it, it would probably be way lower. Like, what would Tezos be at if there was no art scene on Tezos? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Maybe from a dev or a finance standpoint, keen to hear opinions. So, interesting question. Cal Flemmer. Excited to reveal the cover of a book I'm editing. So, Pixel Art Anthology is coming July, August, and will showcase 50 artists, 50 or more artists who made all different kinds of pixel art. I'm super happy to feature Forest Bath by Eduardo. So, beautiful cover here. So, looking good. I believe this is self-published we'll showcase, yeah. So, cool work by Cal Flemmer. A book on the way. Rob, I'm proud to announce that I've joined Object.com. So Rob to the Moon has found a place as a collector and artist advisor. So that's interesting. I mean, Rob's a real hustler, and the fact that he even landed at Object at the end, to his credit, right? So very cool. Very cool. So going from Foundation to Maker's Place, I mean, has a lot of experience at this point. So pretty interesting. Mikey de la Creme, who of course I follow. So stoked to meet an artist I've admired since I discovered digital art. Heliodoro Santos, who I believe does those, the robot arm painting tools. What do you call that? Pen plotter, but it's like paintbrush plotter, so to speak, I believe is what some of the work is. Metascapes. So this is at the Kelowna Contemporary Gallery, Michele Kelowna, who we've had on the Spaces, as well as Mikey de la Creme. So it looks like a cool show. Happy to report 25% sold already in pre-sale. Michele Kelowna has done a really good job of keeping that gallery in business. Not an easy business. Spiegels. Look at this. Laser cut from Mech Sands by Michael Micasso. So playing with laser cut. Another interesting way to do pixel art, isn't it? So, and also from, looks like Spiegels is launching a shop. So pretty cool there. A little sim. That is funny. Kika Nikolela, my Samsung The Frame featuring Sabato box. So over here, my generic Chinese Android square screen featuring Riddell Warner. Love my collection. This is interesting. I would urge artists to think of using more standard aspect ratios of screens. For my over 4,000 pieces, only a handful are 9:16 or 16:9. Interesting point. You know, I have works that are kind of like 16:9-ish, and I was like, oh, how am I going to make this look better? Hopefully this screen unfreezes. Good. How am I going to make this look better? But maybe I just go with 16:9. So anyways, interesting comment. Dr. Lee NFT on the wall. Can't quite believe we got the who of course I follow. Look at this piece by the legend Harold Cohen. So very nice piece here. You know, Harold Cohen, the more you see, the more you love. Really interesting pioneer here. These works are going to be worth a fortune. I'm sure they already are. But it feels like a good investment. Let's put it this way. This is hilarious. I guess this says Joe Biden, 1st of January, 2025. I don't know if I've seen this work, but you see how professional Walk is with the stamp and the signature 2025. Really professional way of doing the print. So just wanted to highlight that. Let's look at the work in our final 25 minutes here. So this is Zozo, picked up by Daggy D. How much did this sell for? 1 of 1 for 170 Tezos. Let's see if we can get this going. Billboard sky, so pretty cool reversal there of the sky on the billboard, almost a surreal, almost a Magritte-esque reversal, hey? A gesture that fades away. This looks like a laundry clothesline. And the wind sweeps it all away, working with the Photoshop kind of, or with a variation on the Photoshop canvas. So just more very cool work from Zozo. A gesture that fades away. That was picked up by Neon Monk for 170 Tezos. So these 1 of 1s. There's a market for 1 of 1s. There's always a market for 1 of 1s. Collectors love 1 of 1s. So interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's continue. So I move the mic. Ultra Flores, look at this. This was sold for 35 Tezos. Beautiful work here by Nuv 1914. Love the structure, love the color. There's something really cool, almost the outlines around, contrasting with the kind of full-colored blocks here. Nuv working with 3D. Again, testing, always testing. Ultra Flores, edition of 1, 35 Tezos. Another cool black and white work. It's called Ultra. Very interesting work from the prolific Nuv 1914, selling to Daggy D, 35 Tezos. This is another nice one. This is from last week, Pistania. Just another, just kind of, there's a house working with different kind of motifs that Nuv likes to do, kind of kind of a structured painting with different kind of visual areas or a visual structure. That was burned, so not sure what happened there. This went to Mr. Bezold, who's been collecting a ton of these. 35 Tezos, Las Torres. Another really interesting, cool piece. Great color. Again, challenging digital art here. Here's Dan Control Projection. This is interesting, isn't it? So Dan Control, adding kind of these wires into the work, and interestingly doubling it, and almost, and it seemed to kind of masking out or filling out. Not exactly sure what's happening, but incredibly cool experimentation here. Because we're going from what I'd call a fairly rational image and kind of a pop art image of the chair, right? This office chair, to here. Now we're adding another layer of irrationality, and it does kind of create a poetry of sorts, of a certain kind, of a different kind. It adds, in a sense, it's a different kind of poetry, but it's kind of a less rational poetry. Projection. Interesting title. Edition of 30, 5 Tezos each. Let's continue. Yesterday's Angels Were Pigs. So interesting title. And again, we're seeing these wires, so to speak, for lack of a better term, enter the image. So Dan Control adding, really experimenting with different kinds of ways of working here. Interesting juxtaposition here too. This is an edition of 1 for 150 Tezos, still available. And here is an edition of 10, circular purple circumstance. So again, playing with outlines, maybe a multiply on this, not sure, or a layer style. And also, again, you see almost like the gradient moving here with these wires over top. So interesting. And here you see some flowers. Very cool. And here, another clue here, GM from Dan Control. So as you see, this is the work that we're just looking at in black and white. So seeing kind of the wires, so to speak, the outlines. Here is just made these from Jank Forum. Now, is that Jank Forum? I thought this was Quampa. Is this Quampa? Or is this someone really trying to do Quampa? I'm not sure what this is. Kind of looks like Quampa, doesn't it? I'm not sure what's going on here. I just assumed this was Quampa. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a scam account. I'm not sure. So, but cool works by Quampa. I almost wish, I'm sure those are by Quampa. Souls. Look at this. Pretty interesting. Souls is a pretty interesting experimental artist here. Nice kind of bowl of fruit, very digital artwork. This is an edition of 1 for only $8.88. Maybe I'll pick this up. Let's see if I can remember, or if I can finish the show on time. I have 22 minutes here. Axe, this is by Yuri J. Look at this. So more kind of, he does kind of domestic interiors as well as kind of the outside of houses and just kind of little landscapes almost. Kind of has almost a Van Gogh type of composition to a certain degree, maybe zoomed in a bit. And there, again, signature mosaic filter, effects on effects, beautiful textures, very painterly. Love even the wood on the side of the house there, the ladder, the doubling, all those things that we love with Yuri J. It just continues to evolve. It's 300 Tezos, 1 of 1 still available. This one's also 300 Tezos, spade. So again, kind of a bit of a gardening kind of vibe. Love these square flowers or plants in the background. I'm working a lot faster now. It's a great way to be. And I see it here, just not getting too precious on things, just make the work and deliver it and then get on to the next work. It's a very liberating way to work. And I'm doing 2 or 3 works a day, and it's very liberating. So anyways, Rake, edition of 10, and this looks like it's sold out at 30 Tezos. Wow, nice take. For Yuri J. And now at 111 Tezos on secondary. Here's Garden Pruner. So more interesting, just again, looks like kind of like a garden series of a certain kind from Yuri J. And that's an edition of 20 for 28 Tezos and sold out at 15 Tezos. So bringing in 300 Tezos in each work, for those that are selling, the 300 Tezos works are slower to sell, interestingly. So you see the benefit of doing both, because sometimes the collectors want the 1 of 1. Sometimes you want to do cheaper for a different market or just a different kind of collecting, right? Sometimes people do both. So Scythe, here it is, this pick here, or actually more, I guess that's old agricultural thing for cutting scythe, for cutting the wheat. Start your career. So here's Uxine, and that looks like Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the movie. So more movie and Start Your Career. So another interesting work here. A hard juxtaposition. We started the other day with Uxine, and we're seeing it again with these interests. So here's some science, some bears, the skulls. We're back to OS, real world data. Start Your Career. So pretty cool, and this is sold out at 33 Tezos, edition of 22. Here's Waffles on Rodeo. This came out, I think, a few days ago, maybe 5 days ago. So interesting work here. So putting work on Rodeo, but maybe is going to go Bitcoin. Let's see. So interesting piece here. Who's the title on this? World Peace. Okay, interesting. And here you see Christmas trees, tennis balls, so just, and it kind of looks like, almost like a stadium here, with some Waffles characters looking on, and different kinds of softwares seemingly at work here. We get the pixelation, we get the 3D, all joining up in one GIF. Pretty interesting. The Myth, with kind of an unusual looking, fairly painterly looking work for the Myth here. Almost seeing a little more texture here. Interestingly, is this a collab? The Myth, I don't think so. I thought maybe it would be a collab. Interesting. Edition of 10, the Smoke Man. So definitely a different looking piece from Myth. Still available. Here is Edmarola, edition of 1, and this sold to Scamra for 65 Tezos. And almost looking like a physical, but I don't think it is. And here, actually pretty rad work here, isn't it? Almost like a monster or a fly, and eating this figure here. And all sorts of dithering, beautiful frame. So very cool work from Edmarola. Picked up by Scamra. And how are we doing here? 15 minutes to go. I'm going to have to speed up. Enigmatrix, reef fishes. So more ASCII text. And here using some animals. Quite another kind of dark background. Cool looking work. Something to be said for the dark background, isn't there? M. Suxu with a couple of works here. El Ultimo. I think that's the final. So cool kind of, again, kind of this spray paint digital artwork. edition of 15 for 3 Tezos, Diggy D picking one up. And I managed to get this one as well on Wednesday, Boludo, by Suksu, M. Suksu. So I believe this is in the Star series, so Little Heart. Really interesting, just unique artist, and very defined style, and just kind of fun. I needed it for the museum, so to speak, in the mind. Space is the Place, this new series. And again, big shout out to Ile for sending me the other one. Mishiyasu Movement. So again, kind of edgy, challenging work, but so consistent. And with each new one, kind of keeps building the credibility, and you go, maybe I have to take another look here. So very, very interesting work. Sometimes there's music. Again, challenging. This is still available, 11 Tezos. Here's Gozo, What We Have, edition of 20. So kind of these surreal AI, textured collages here. Always beautiful color. Again, you wonder, you think of Skamra's beautiful colors. Here, Gozo has some beautiful colors. We remember Skamra talking about the negative prompting for the color. You wonder if there's a similar thing going on here, because the colors are always quite brilliant with Gozo, edition of 20. Here is Skamra. Here and there, I don't think we've seen this one. Edition of 20 for 333. Very super heavily textured work here. AI and Stable Diffusion. Here's Grant Wood's American Gothic. So playing, I guess, with the American Gothic theme, very kind of interpreted. Stable Diffusion and Diffusers, Textual Inversion, edition of 1, picked up by Neon Monk for 55 Tezos. Nice sale. And some more brilliant works by Canik Zapata. So collector with ex-mortal art showing off their Samsung frame. Beautiful. I mean, these are amazing artworks, and putting out a ton of them. They're beautiful. Edition of 11, nice and small. This one beautifully textured. Hasdrubal, what does it say? Has a record label, and one day a friend gave him 0.7 Tezos and a new wallet, and now he's a Hasdrubal waffle collector. So kind of celebrating the scene. That's another thing I really like about this series here, and just again the textures, gorgeous. We have a few, so I'm going to go through them fast. I like this one too. This is a collector in the title, but it could be an artist. The way the whole composition is an artist in the studio. I love the sneakers, the Nike on the. This was a brilliant one too. Love the simple background with the super complex, the contrast here, and then again the art in the background just looks fabulous. Very, very, very cool edition of 11. That's available for 10 Tezos, and here an edition of 11. And again, we see Stable Diffusion for the composition, and then Python, the cellular automata for the color and the patterning. The almost random looking patterning. And again, texture, just rad. I love the compositions too. I guess that's AI, right? But who would, it's, you go back to the earlier comments, like they're all copying. I mean, this is pretty awesome. And again, when you start exporting to like Python, it gets pretty interesting. Here's another one. Yeah, so showing a ton of these because they're all pretty exciting. They're so fresh. Here's another one, and I don't think I'm even showing all of them. And look at this down here. So we don't have time to go through all the titles, unfortunately, but I figure we can look at the work and kind of we have an idea. And again, just more beautiful work. Here's another one. These collectors in studios, I love it. Absolutely love it. And here's one more. So very cool. And finally, so tons of work by Canik Zapata this episode. Just very awesome. Here's a nice piece by Ed Woods. Beautiful, kind of nice. It's in this nostalgia show that's on. Nice kind of ambitious composition. There's something to be said for it. Like in this, it looks like Mario Brothers or something, and playing the Nintendo. Has a bit more of a big kind of canvas feel, which I love about it. Very nice composition here. Again, using the Petsky. Edition of 1. This sold for 50 Tezos. Nice sale. Here's Guadanarian. We make it work despite the differences. So again, kind of working with the pixel art factory look, but also kind of animated, abstract pixel art. Here's Renato Marini. This is a newer series, and let's see if it loads up. We only have 10 minutes here. 10 minutes max is what we have, so I may need to kill this. We'll just go back here. So these are available. This is part of a larger series here. You can get them for 0.02 ETH. And I'm not sure how many, I think they're editions. Here's another one by Renato Marini. It's called Factory. I don't think I showed this one. This is an edition of one. So cool, simple composition, cool pixel art. This is an edition of one, and what happened? Offer coming in for 40 Tezos, but not listed. Interestingly, Datura Snowfalls. So again, bordering on abstract, but still representational. Beautiful. I love Datura's work. Spiegel's Maskinen, Case. So a couple of works by Spiegels. This one's in red and black. Kind of looks like water going down a tunnel or liquid. And here is Cage, number one. And here also you see what looks like maybe snow or sludge going through some sort of structure here. Edition of one and sold for 625 Tezos. Nice sale. Here's Sabato with a few glitch ROM works. Patterns of Divergence, edition of one. Cool color here. So playing with the racing game again, and just minted but not listed. Here's another one, still frame 20. So cool. Very, very cool here. Edition of 11. Glad to see, and listed for 15 Tezos now, so you can start to buy these. There Would Be Signs, edition of 11, and also listed for 15 Tezos. So these stills from GlitchROM, another cool still. And here's one more, and this is probably an edition of one. And offer coming in from Neon Monk for 250 Tezos, getting a Sabato one of one. So yeah, awesome, beautiful sunset there. So glad to see those back. And here's Gogolitis Kaleidoscope number two. How many? 377 minted on Rodeo. So nice work there. And so another work on Rodeo, kind of pixel art factory, kind of. Let's continue. I have to run. Yudho XYZ, Void Bloom. So I think actually Gogolitis retweeted this one. Cool pixel art work here. And this is on Object, I believe. And we're going to keep going here before the computer crashes too. Too many tabs open, as you can see. Here is Brain Dead, third day without smoking. Oh, this is great. Fun piece here. This is Itzel Reina. I love the content here. I love synths. So, very cool work. That's 10 Tezos, edition of 10 on Object. Here's Cap'n, also known as Figments. Echoes of Elglitch, and February 12th, so wild composition here. This is beyond 16 by 9. And beautiful kind of noise in the middle here, and even a little bit of what looks like a fire. And there, of course, the little figure and the dog. Let's continue. Jake Studios, God Did. Very nice, ambitious work here from Jake Studios. Gorgeous. And some JPEG icons that are burning. Again, Stream of Consciousness illustration here. Edition of one for 222 Tezos, still available. And here is Limbo, Through the Looking Glass. So usually making his own compositions here, if not always. So interesting piece, Through the Looking Glass, trading cards. I think there's a show, Deck of Hearts by Cyberforms. There's a show on playing cards. Lewis Harriet, this was cool, art discovery thread. Really interesting illustrator here, kind of a surreal illustrator on the blockchain. Here's Ubu Hua by Burka Bayram. Edition, and thank you for sending it to me. Rural Idol, thank you for sending it. Yeah, rad. Really cool piece. And Ubu Hua, of course, Alfred Jarry's Ubu Hua, I guess it's a play. And continuing on, I think it's a trilogy. Ubu King, and yeah, or there's three of them. Absurd Deity, I've collected Vanilla Sky by Badala. NFT, of course, I follow Absurd Deity. Nice piece here from Badala, continues to make beautiful work. Here is Ms. Paint with another cool illustration, edition of 12. Love the Blade Runner on this kind of suburban scene, having Blade Runner on there. Just very cool. Nice light, too. Cool illustration, edition of 12 for 5 Tezos. Here's Salawaki, Stuart Little's Midlife Crisis Explained. So here, playing with the cursor and the trout, and there's Salawaki with sunglasses, edition of 20 for 5 Tezos. This was a cool work. I think Santiago retweeted this out after picking one up by Yuran Yakon, stream number 10. Nice piece, nice textures here. Cool work. And here is Lena Eckhart, Out of Control. as we zero in on the end here. Beautiful work here. Nice abstract work, animated abstract, some nice kind of pixelation in there too. Very cool. 30 seconds, edition of 15 for 6 Tezos, and selling well. Let's continue. Here's Renki with a couple of works. Fukushima, where there was that big disaster. I don't know, the nuclear disaster in 2011, I believe it was. So interesting title and cool animated abstract. Here's another one, Kanayagawa. Maybe these are just, maybe that's accidental and these are just Japanese cities. Playing with red and blue. Very interesting. Here's Dr. Version with some audio in it too. Cool animated abstract. Good vibes. Beautiful. Love the music and the color together. Wow. This is great. Wow. Beautiful work. Soundframe 6, edition of 1, picked up by Lena Eckhart for 20 Tezos. Good deal. And here's Ex Mortal, Dream Sequence. So very abstract here on this landscape. Very cool. That is edition of 11, sold out. Here is Kurt Hustle Collective. Neo Meditationals with Ferbert. It's time. I guess that's Ferbert. Beautiful audio and visuals there. Edition of 10 for 10 Tezos, still available, but there's only probably a couple left there max. Here is Yoain, Teal Variation 2024. So looking like a variation on some of the works we saw on Rodeo. Kind of a little more color in this one. Such a great AI artist, Yoain. Another great AI artist, Lily Illo. A great artist who makes AI artwork, shall I say. Beautiful AI painting here from Lily Illo. And continuing another one, just beautiful work here. I'm not sure if Lily Illo is making a bunch of new work here, because works I've never seen before. And we'll see if, okay, and even some 3D, okay, so playing with different ideas here. GM 1994, so no hygiene. More interesting work, very prolific. Edition of 1 for 90 Tezos, and this looked fantastic. Of course, I follow No Hygiene. Beautiful looking work here. So, unusually beautiful. It's almost like how I'd say it from just the color is great. Again, very challenging, brilliant artist. So original. One of the most unique artists out there. Neural Divine. Another super interesting artist. Love the sun on this one. It's kind of smudged out sun. Edition of 5 for 4 Tezos each. And here's Wok, who, of course, I follow. Just Sims 2. Just more brilliance. The maestro there. With spray paint, that's a physical. This is AI. This is Skamra, beautiful work of a tree. Edition of 20 and 250 each. Again, just gorgeous textures here. And so here is Machine as we finish up. This is actually, I was running out of time here. This is part of another painting. I'll try and show it next episode. This is just a work in progress here with a kitten. I will show the full one next episode. Here's Dan Control with some paintings. Look at these. What a great painter. There's another one. What a great painter. That looks like Shrek. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And that's your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me. I have 3 minutes till my meeting. Until next time, take care.